What are the scariest possibilities about aliens? Story 1. A civilization capable of traveling between stars would almost certainly possess biotechnology so advanced that human genetics would seem primitive to them. And that creates a terrifying possibility. Aliens might not wipe humanity out at all. They might redesign us slowly over generations until baseline humans no longer exist. Humans already did something disturbingly similar ourselves. Gray wolf was once a highly intelligent apex predator built for survival, endurance, and coordination. But through selective breeding, humans transformed wolves into hundreds of specialized forms. Some became hunting tools. Others became tiny companion animals. Some breeds were altered so heavily they now struggle to breathe, run, or even survive naturally without human care. Now imagine an alien civilization applying that same process to humanity. Entire human populations could be genetically engineered for different purposes. One group might be bred for obedience and emotional dependency, another for physical labor in high-gravity environments. Others could be modified for warfare, scientific computation, reproduction, or adaptation to alien ecosystems impossible for ordinary humans to survive in. And the process would probably happen gradually enough that future generations would consider it normal. That's the truly horrifying part. Humanity would not disappear overnight through invasion or extinction. Instead, it would survive biologically while slowly losing its original identity, piece by piece. Natural humans could eventually become rare, outdated, or even illegal compared to engineered versions optimized for alien systems and needs. After enough centuries, no one may even remember what unmodified humans originally looked like. The nightmare is not aliens destroying humanity. It is aliens domesticating humanity the same way humans domesticated wolves, reshaping an entire intelligent species into forms designed entirely for someone else's purpose. Story 2. The terrifying possibility is not that aliens are coming someday. It's that they may have already been here for thousands, maybe millions of years, quietly treating humanity like an experiment, a simulation, or even livestock without us realizing it. Humans already do this ourselves constantly. We build ant farms, breed animals selectively, track wildlife populations, manipulate ecosystems, and observe creatures in controlled environments while those organisms remain completely incapable of understanding the larger systems controlling their existence. Now imagine the intelligence gap between humans and ants. Then imagine a gap that is much larger between humans and an ancient extraterrestrial civilization. To them, humanity might not look advanced at all. Human wars, religions, economies, and civilizations could appear like predictable behavioral patterns inside a managed ecosystem. Entire empires, rising and collapsing, might be no more significant to them than watching bacteria compete in a petri dish. And the truly horrifying part is that we might never know. If a civilization was advanced enough, their manipulation would not necessarily involve giant ships hovering over cities. It could be subtle environmental guidance, genetic intervention, controlled technological development, or carefully timed appearances influencing human history from behind the scenes while remaining mostly invisible. Some people compare it to a cosmic version of Farmville. You do not explain agriculture mechanics to the crops. You simply manage growth conditions from above. That idea becomes especially unsettling when you realize humans already manipulate animal breeding, migration, habitats, and reproduction without those species understanding what is happening to them. The nightmare scenario is that humanity may not be an independent civilization, discovering the universe naturally. We may already exist inside someone else's controlled system, watched, adjusted, and cultivated by intelligences so far beyond human understanding that we cannot even recognize the boundaries of the enclosure we are trapped inside. Story 3. Stephen Hawking once suggested that contact with an advanced alien civilization might not resemble science fiction movies where two intelligent species meet as equals. Instead, he warned it could resemble the relationship humans have with ants. And that idea is terrifying because humans do not usually destroy ants out of hatred. We destroy them accidentally. When people build highways, cities, dams, factories, or power plants, entire ecosystems disappear beneath construction without humans giving serious moral consideration to the insects living there. The ants may experience a total apocalypse, but to humans, it is just another infrastructure project. Now imagine a civilization millions of years more advanced than humanity. A species capable of interstellar travel would likely possess technology so far beyond ours that humans might appear primitive in comparison. To them, Earth may not look like the center of civilization. It may simply look like a useful planet containing water, minerals, biological resources, or a strategically valuable position inside the solar system. And the horrifying part is that they might not even view humanity as important enough to acknowledge. If they needed to restructure planets, harvest energy from the sun, alter Earth's atmosphere, or build megastructures around the solar system, humans could simply become collateral damage. Entire civilizations might disappear, not because aliens are evil, but because humanity was insignificant compared to whatever larger objective they were pursuing. That possibility is far scarier than alien invasion stories. Hatred at least recognizes your existence. Indifference does not. The nightmare scenario is that humanity may someday encounter a species so advanced that we are no more relevant to them than insects are to us. Organisms noticed only briefly before being erased by forces far too large to resist or even fully comprehend. Story 4. Aliens may already know humanity exists in extraordinary detail while humans remain completely unaware they are being observed. That possibility becomes terrifying once you compare it to how humans study less advanced life on Earth. Scientists tag animals with tracking devices, monitor ecosystems remotely, and observe isolated tribes carefully without disrupting their behavior. The creatures being studied usually continue their lives normally, completely unaware they are inside a system of observation, controlled by something vastly more intelligent than themselves. Now imagine that same relationship between humanity and an extraterrestrial civilization. A species advanced enough to travel between stars would likely possess surveillance technology so sophisticated humans might never detect it at all. They could observe Earth from enormous distances, monitor communications, study human biology, map military infrastructure, and analyze civilization without revealing their presence even once. And humanity may already have exposed itself far more than people realize. For over a century, Earth has been leaking radio broadcasts, radar signals, satellite communications, television transmissions, and digital noise into space. Human civilization has essentially been broadcasting evidence of its existence across the galaxy without knowing who might be listening. The horrifying part is the imbalance. If aliens are already studying humanity, they may understand human psychology, conflict, religion, governments, technology, and social behavior in extraordinary detail. They could know our weaknesses better than humans themselves do. Meanwhile, humanity would know absolutely nothing about them. No language, no intentions, no biology, no understanding of whether the observers are curious scientists, indifferent explorers, or something far worse. The nightmare scenario is that first contact may not happen when humanity discovers aliens. It may happen when humanity realizes it has already been watched for a very long time. Story 5. A terrifying possibility is that aliens would have absolutely no practical reason to invade Earth for resources, because almost everything humans consider valuable exists elsewhere in far greater abundance and can be obtained far more easily. Precious metals are scattered throughout asteroid belts. Gas giants contain unimaginable amounts of hydrogen and helium. Water exists on moons, comets, and frozen planets across solar systems. Even rare elements found on Earth likely exist in vastly larger quantities throughout space. An advanced civilization capable of interstellar travel could harvest these materials without fighting wars, dealing with gravity wells, or interacting with intelligent life at all. And that changes the entire way alien contact becomes frightening. Most invasion stories assume aliens come for resources humans possess. But realistically, Earth is a terrible target for mining or extraction compared to the rest of the cosmos. Why invade a populated planet when dead worlds provide the same materials with zero resistance? That leaves a much darker possibility. If aliens ever come to Earth specifically, it may be because they are interested in life itself. Earth's biosphere could be extraordinarily rare. Complex ecosystems, evolved DNA, intelligent consciousness, or billions of years of evolutionary experimentation might be more valuable than raw minerals ever could be. Humans often preserve rare species, collect biological samples, manipulate ecosystems, and study unique organisms simply because they are scientifically interesting. An alien civilization might view Earth the same way, and that creates a horrifying imbalance. You can negotiate over resources. You cannot negotiate with a scientist studying bacteria in a petri dish. The nightmare scenario is that humanity may only become important to aliens precisely because Earth contains something uncommon in the universe: a living biosphere full of complex, evolving organisms. And if that's true, humans may not encounter conquerors or traitors. We may encounter researchers. Story 6. Aliens may not arrive as towering humanoids in massive ships at all. The scariest possibility is that extraterrestrial life could be something microscopic, invisible, and completely impossible for humanity to defend against. Humans tend to imagine alien invasions as wars because that is how humans think. We picture fleets, weapons, cities burning, and dramatic battles for survival. But evolution on another world may produce forms of life that do not resemble animals or civilizations in any familiar way. An alien species might function more like a pathogen, and if that happened, humanity could lose before even realizing contact occurred. Earth's immune systems evolved specifically to fight organisms originating from Earth's own evolutionary history. Viruses, bacteria, fungi, and parasites all share biochemical relationships with life here. Human bodies only understand these threats because life on Earth ultimately emerged from the same biological framework. But extraterrestrial microorganisms may follow completely different chemistry. The horrifying possibility is that alien microbes could interact with Earth biology in unpredictable ways humans have no preparation for whatsoever. Maybe they bypass immune responses entirely. Maybe they attack cellular structures directly. Maybe they reproduce silently inside organisms for weeks before symptoms appear. Or worse, Maybe humanity would not even recognize the infection as alive. The terrifying part is how effortlessly this could happen. No invasion fleet, no warning, just contamination from a probe, meteorite, spacecraft, or microscopic particles drifting through space. Entire populations could collapse while scientists desperately try to understand something fundamentally outside human biology. And unlike movie Aliens, pathogens do not hate you. They do not negotiate. They do not even notice you. That indifference is what makes the idea so disturbing. Humanity could potentially be wiped out, not by a hostile civilization, but by an alien organism behaving exactly as life naturally behaves everywhere in the universe, trying to survive and spread. Story 7. Human morality feels universal to humans because it evolved alongside mammalian biology, social bonding, and parental attachment. But an alien species may have evolved under conditions so radically different that concepts like empathy, grief, or the value of individual life might barely exist for them at all. Humans are emotionally shaped by the way mammals reproduce and survive. Parents usually invest enormous time and energy into a small number of offspring, creating strong emotional bonds because each child represents a massive biological investment. Love, attachment, protection, and grief are deeply tied to that evolutionary framework. But alien life may not share any of it. Imagine a species that reproduces by laying thousands of eggs at once, with only a tiny percentage surviving naturally. Individual offspring would become statistically insignificant. Evolution might favor efficiency over attachment because emotional investment in each life would provide little survival advantage. Now imagine first contact with such a civilization. Humans weep over the death of a child, and the aliens genuinely cannot understand why. To them, emotional devastation over a single death may seem irrational or biologically dysfunctional. They might view humans the same way humans view animals that become overly attached to offspring unlikely to survive. And the terrifying part is that they may not even be cruel. Cruelty requires understanding, suffering enough to intentionally inflict it. These beings might simply lack the biological framework required to emotionally process individual loss the way humans do. Entire human populations could die during experimentation, colonization, or conflict, while the aliens perceive the event as statistically unimportant. That possibility is horrifying because humans instinctively assume intelligence naturally leads toward empathy and moral understanding. But morality may simply be an evolutionary adaptation specific to certain social species. An advanced alien civilization could possess unimaginable intelligence while remaining emotionally alien in ways humans cannot psychologically prepare for. Intelligent enough to understand humanity completely, yet biologically incapable of caring about human suffering in any meaningful way. Story 8. The terrifying possibility is that humans may not be the victims when first contact finally happens. We may become the invaders. Humanity often imagines advanced alien civilizations arriving to conquer weaker species because that fear is rooted directly in human history. Empires have repeatedly crossed oceans, discovered less technologically advanced societies, and justified exploitation, colonization, slavery, or extermination in the name of expansion, security, religion, economics, or civilization. Now imagine humans gaining interstellar travel before overcoming those instincts. A nearby planet with breathable air, liquid water, fertile land, and accessible resources would be unimaginably valuable. Entire governments and corporations could view such a world as the solution to overpopulation, ecological collapse, or economic scarcity on Earth. And if the native intelligent species lacked comparable technology, the power imbalance could become catastrophic. Humans already have a long history of rationalizing atrocities against other humans. Against a completely alien species, empathy might weaken even further. Politicians could describe the aliens as primitive obstacles to progress. The media might portray them as biologically inferior or dangerous. Military forces could justify occupation as necessary for humanity's survival or expansion. The horrifying part is how plausible that sounds historically. Advanced weapons, orbital control, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and superior industry would make resistance almost meaningless. Entire alien civilizations could be displaced, exploited, or erased by humans convinced they were acting pragmatically rather than monstrously. And future generations on Earth might normalize it completely. History books could frame conquest as heroic exploration, while the destruction of another intelligent species becomes a footnote beneath economic growth and planetary expansion. That possibility is deeply disturbing because it removes the comforting assumption that humanity would automatically occupy the moral high ground in first contact scenarios. The universe may not need evil aliens for cosmic horror to exist. Human beings may already be fully capable of bringing it with them to the stars. Story 9. The truly unsettling implication of interstellar travel is that any civilization capable of crossing light years to reach Earth would almost certainly operate on a technological level so advanced that human ideas of wealth and scarcity may no longer apply to them at all. The speed of light is around 186,000 miles per second. Even at that speed, traveling between stars takes years, decades, or centuries, depending on the destination. The energy requirements alone are almost unimaginable. A species capable of routinely overcoming those distances would likely possess engineering capabilities so extreme that mining Earth for raw materials would make very little sense. Because the universe is already full of resources. Asteroids contain enormous concentrations of precious metals. Gas giants hold staggering amounts of fuel. Water exists across moons, comets, and frozen worlds. Entire uninhabited planets could be harvested without resistance. For a civilization advanced enough for interstellar travel, Earth would probably look like an inconvenient place to extract materials compared to the vast dead matter floating freely through space. And that realization changes the fear completely. If aliens ever came specifically to Earth, it may not be because they need anything humans consider valuable. They may come because of life itself. Intelligent civilizations, complex ecosystems, consciousness, culture, or biological diversity might be rarer and more interesting than minerals or fuel. Humans already travel enormous distances to study rare species, isolated ecosystems, and unusual biological phenomena, despite gaining little material benefit from doing so. That creates a disturbing possibility. To aliens, humanity may not resemble rivals or enemies. We may resemble wildlife, something worth observing, cataloging, preserving, experimenting on, or controlling scientifically. And the terrifying part is that researchers studying animals rarely ask permission. The nightmare scenario is that a civilization capable of crossing interstellar space may view humanity less as fellow intelligent beings and more as an unusual biological phenomenon inhabiting a small planet around an otherwise ordinary star. Story 10. A terrifying possibility is that first contact with alien life may not involve spaceships, weapons, or communication at all. It could happen through biology. Humans evolved alongside Earth-based bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites for billions of years. Every immune response the human body has developed is tailored specifically to organisms sharing the same evolutionary history and biochemical framework as life on Earth. Alien microorganisms would not necessarily follow those rules. If extraterrestrial life exists somewhere like Titan or beneath the oceans of distant worlds, it could possess completely unfamiliar chemistry, reproduction methods, or molecular structures. Human immune systems might fail to recognize it entirely. A microscopic alien organism could spread through ecosystems before scientists even understand what they are looking at. And the horrifying part is that humanity may have no natural defense whatsoever. A single contaminated probe, meteorite, or sample return mission could theoretically introduce biological agents. Earth life has never encountered in its evolutionary history. Entire species could collapse before medicine has time to react. But the opposite possibility is equally unsettling. Alien biology might be so chemically different that it cannot interact with Earth life at all. Viruses require extremely specific cellular mechanisms to infect hosts. Truly alien organisms may simply pass through Earth ecosystems harmlessly because the molecular compatibility required for infection does not exist. And right now, nobody knows which possibility is more likely. That uncertainty itself is frightening. Humans tend to imagine intelligent alien civilizations because science fiction trained people to think in terms of humanoid visitors and interstellar empires. But realistically, the first confirmed extraterrestrial life humans discover may indeed be microscopic organisms hidden beneath alien oceans or frozen moons. And honestly, that might still completely change civilization forever. Because once humanity proves life emerged independently somewhere else in the universe, it becomes much harder to believe Earth is special or alone. Story 11. One of the scariest possibilities about aliens is that humans may completely fail to recognize alien life, even if it is directly in front of us, because people instinctively imagine extraterrestrials as variations of Earth animals instead of something truly alien. Human imagination usually produces humanoids, insect-like creatures, reptilian beings, or giant monsters because Earth biology is the only reference humans have ever known. But life elsewhere in the universe may not even be based on the same assumptions as life on Earth. An alien species could exist as microscopic organisms drifting through atmospheres or oceans, completely invisible to human perception. Entire intelligent ecosystems might operate on scales too small for humans to notice naturally. A civilization could theoretically spread between planets hidden inside dust, ice, or radiation, without ever constructing giant ships at all. And the opposite possibility is even stranger. Alien life may not be biological in the way humans understand biology. It could emerge through electromagnetic fields, plasma structures inside stars, self-organizing sound patterns, machine intelligence, or forms of chemistry unlike anything on Earth. Humans evolved to recognize predators, faces, movement, and living organisms that follow Earth-like rules. Something truly alien might not trigger those instincts whatsoever. Imagine an intelligent entity existing as fluctuating energy patterns humans interpret as atmospheric noise, or consciousness emerging from magnetic interactions inside gas giants, or life forms distributed across entire planetary systems rather than contained inside bodies. The horrifying part is that humanity may already be surrounded by phenomena it lacks the biological framework to identify as alive. And if alien life does not resemble anything Earth evolved to understand, communication itself may become impossible. Humans might observe the phenomenon for centuries while never realizing intelligence is present at all. That possibility completely changes the fear surrounding extraterrestrials. The universe may not simply contain creatures humans have not discovered yet. It may contain forms of existence so fundamentally different that human minds were never built to perceive them correctly in the first place. Story 12. An advanced alien civilization might look at Earth and see something horrifying instead of beautiful. Humans tend to romanticize nature because people are emotionally adapted to life on Earth. But the reality of Earth's ecosystem is brutally violent. Almost every organism survives by consuming other living things. Animals tear each other apart alive. Parasites hollow hosts from the inside. Even plants compete constantly for sunlight, water, and territory. Billions of organisms die every single day, simply so other organisms can continue existing. To humans, this feels normal because evolution shaped human morality inside that system. But an alien civilization may have evolved beyond it entirely. Imagine a species that eliminated predation millions of years ago through advanced technology. Perhaps they synthesize energy directly, abandon biological hunger altogether, or engineer ecosystems without suffering. To them, Earth could resemble a giant planetary slaughterhouse where intelligent beings casually participate in endless cycles of consumption and death. And then humans would look even worse. Human civilization industrializes suffering on an unimaginable scale. Billions of animals are bred purely to be killed for food. Wars destroy entire populations. Humans poison ecosystems, exterminate species, and reshape the planet while fully understanding the suffering involved. An alien intelligence observing Earth might conclude humanity is not merely primitive, but fundamentally dangerous. That's the terrifying possibility. Humans assume advanced civilizations would automatically sympathize with us because we see ourselves as intelligent and morally developing. But aliens may judge morality through completely different evolutionary standards. To them, humanity could appear psychopathic. And if a civilization possessed the technological ability to sterilize planets effortlessly, they might view destroying Earth not as evil, but as an act of cosmic sanitation, preventing violent biological systems from spreading further into the universe. The nightmare scenario is that aliens do not invade humanity out of hatred or greed. They erase humanity because, from their perspective, allowing Earth's form of life to continue existing feels ethically unacceptable. Story 13. The universe is unimaginably old. There are billions of stars older than the sun, and likely trillions of planets scattered across galaxies. Statistically, intelligent life should have emerged many times before humanity ever existed, and yet the universe appears completely silent. No confirmed alien signals, no visible galactic empires, no giant engineering projects surrounding stars, no evidence of ancient civilizations spreading between planets. Just silence, stretching across space in every direction humanity looks. That silence becomes terrifying once you consider what it may actually mean. Maybe advanced civilizations do form all the time. Maybe intelligence is not rare at all. But perhaps almost every civilization destroys itself before becoming truly interstellar. This idea is connected to great filter theory. Somewhere in the development of intelligent life, there may be a stage so dangerous that almost nobody survives it. Nuclear war, engineered pandemics, artificial intelligence, ecological collapse, runaway technology, or internal societal breakdowns could repeatedly wipe civilizations out shortly after they become advanced. And humanity may be approaching that stage right now. That is what makes the silence horrifying. Every empty star system may not represent loneliness. It may represent failure. Entire civilizations could have looked toward the stars with optimism, believing they were on the verge of spreading across the galaxy, only to vanish before ever leaving meaningful traces behind. The truly terrifying part is that humans do not know whether the dangerous stage is already behind us or still waiting ahead. If the great filter lies in humanity's future, then every technological advancement bringing civilization closer to incredible power may also be bringing it closer to the same invisible wall that countless other intelligent species already failed to survive. Story 14. A truly terrifying possibility is that aliens may not hate humanity at all. Hatred at least acknowledges that another being matters. What's far scarier is the idea that humans might simply be viewed as biologically inferior life forms with no meaningful moral value whatsoever. Humans already behave this way constantly on Earth. People step on insects accidentally without even noticing. Animals are bred for food, labor, experimentation, or entertainment because humans consider themselves intellectually superior. Entire ecosystems are destroyed for construction projects with little thought given to the creatures living there. Now imagine a civilization millions of years more advanced than humanity. To them, humans might not appear intelligent enough to deserve rights, autonomy, or empathy. Human civilization could look primitive, emotional, violent, and biologically inefficient compared to their standards. Our greatest achievements may seem as unimpressive to them as termite mounds seem to humans, and that creates horrifying possibilities. Humans could become laboratory subjects studied for curiosity. Entire populations might be genetically modified, domesticated, or controlled the way humans manage animal populations. Alien societies may even consume humans biologically if they evolved without moral restrictions surrounding intelligent life. The worst part is that none of it would necessarily feel evil to them. Humans rarely feel guilty for experimenting on mice or slaughtering livestock because people assume intellectual superiority justifies control. Aliens may operate under the exact same logic, and if the technological gap were large enough, resistance would become meaningless. Humanity might finally discover it is not the dominant species it imagined itself to be, but merely another vulnerable organism encountering something vastly higher on the cosmic hierarchy. That possibility destroys one of humanity's deepest assumptions, that intelligence naturally guarantees dignity and moral consideration. The universe may not work that way at all. Story 15. Humanity may already be the cosmic equivalent of an isolated island tribe completely unaware of how large and industrialized the outside universe really is. There are still remote tribes on Earth living with minimal contact from modern civilization, people whose technology, worldview, and understanding of the planet remain separated from the rest of humanity by enormous gaps in knowledge and development. To them, airplanes, satellites, nuclear weapons, and the internet would seem almost supernatural. Now imagine that same gap between humanity and an interstellar civilization. Earth may look like a protected wilderness world filled with primitive intelligent life that has not yet fully joined the larger galactic ecosystem. Humans might believe they are advanced because they split atoms and landed on the moon, while truly ancient civilizations elsewhere view humanity as technologically stagnant and dangerously immature. And that creates a terrifying possibility. Somewhere out there may be civilizations that see Earth as valuable territory full of biological resources, usable ecosystems, or strategic importance. To them, humanity could simply be inconvenient wildlife standing in the way of expansion, extraction, or colonization. The horrifying part is how familiar that sounds historically. Humans already destroy forests, oceans, and indigenous populations when profit or resources become valuable enough. Entire cultures vanish because larger industrial systems decide development matters more than preservation. So imagine an alien equivalent. Massive interstellar corporations or expansionist civilizations may want Earth stripped apart for resources or terraformed for their own use. And somewhere else, there may genuinely be alien scientists, activists, or conservationists, desperately arguing that humanity should be protected. That idea is unsettling because it transforms humans from protagonists into vulnerable wildlife trapped between forces vastly beyond their control. Earth stops feeling like the center of civilization and starts feeling like a tiny endangered island sitting in the path of cosmic industrialization. Story 16, Dark Forest Theory, is terrifying because it completely changes the meaning of the universe's silence. Humans usually assume intelligent civilizations would want to communicate, explore, cooperate, or share knowledge. But the Dark Forest Theory argues the exact opposite. In a universe where survival is uncertain and civilizations can grow exponentially, revealing your existence may be the single most dangerous thing a species can ever do. The logic is brutally simple. Any civilization advanced enough to detect another civilization may also eventually become capable of destroying it. And because distances between stars are enormous, communication delays could last years or centuries. That means trust becomes almost impossible. You cannot truly know another species' intentions, technological growth rate, or future behavior. Even a peaceful civilization today could become hostile thousands of years later. And if one civilization hesitates while another decides to attack first, the civilization that waited may be annihilated permanently. So, the safest strategy becomes silence. Every civilization hides quietly, avoiding attention while watching for signs of others. The moment a species reveals its location too openly, it risks attracting something older, stronger, and paranoid enough to destroy potential threats immediately before they become dangerous. That transforms the universe into a cosmic hunting ground. Every radio signal humanity broadcasts into space becomes frightening. Every attempt to contact extraterrestrials may effectively be screaming into a dark forest filled with unseen hunters pointing weapons at every sound. And the worst part is that under the theory, the hunters are not necessarily evil. They are simply rational. The horror comes from realizing that survival itself may naturally push intelligent civilizations toward fear, secrecy, and preemptive extermination until the galaxy becomes silent, not because life is rare, but because every surviving species learned that being noticed is fatal. Story 18. The terrifying possibility is that humanity may eventually discover alien civilizations exist and still never truly interact with them, because the universe itself makes meaningful contact practically impossible. Science fiction often assumes advanced species will eventually invent faster than light travel, wormholes, hyperspace, or some other technology that bypasses cosmic distances. But there is no proof any of that is physically possible. The speed of light may simply be an absolute wall built into reality itself. And if that is true, the universe becomes unbelievably lonely. Even neighboring civilizations could be separated by hundreds or thousands of light years. A single message sent across that distance might take centuries to arrive. A reply could return long after everyone who originally transmitted the signal is dead. Imagine finally detecting intelligent life around another star. Humanity spends decades deciphering the signal and sends a greeting back. 500 years later, a response arrives. By then, entire nations, languages, religions, and civilizations on Earth may have transformed beyond recognition. The people answering the message would not even be speaking to the same world anymore, and the aliens would face the exact same problem. True conversation becomes impossible when every exchange spans centuries. The horrifying part is that the galaxy may actually be full of intelligent life already. Countless civilizations could exist simultaneously across space, each isolated inside tiny bubbles of causality, aware others are out there, but permanently separated by physics itself. No galactic empires, no alliances, no interstellar community. Just civilizations screaming across impossible distances into the dark, receiving fragmented echoes from species that may already be extinct by the time their messages arrive. That possibility changes cosmic loneliness into something even sadder. Humanity may never be alone in the universe. We may simply be trapped in a reality where intelligent life can never truly reach one another before time, distance, and extinction pull every civilization apart forever. Story 17. The discovery of alien life would probably not unite humanity in wonder the way movies often portray. It would more likely trigger one of the largest psychological shocks in human history, because humans are simply not built to process something truly non-human. Everything people understand about intelligence comes from Earth. Even the strangest animals still share the same evolutionary origin, chemistry, and physical reality as humans. Alien life could be completely different in ways the human brain has no framework for understanding, and that is what makes the idea terrifying. Humans naturally try to categorize things: predator, animals, person, machine, friend, threat. But a truly alien intelligence might not fit any category humans recognize. Its communication, appearance, behavior, motives, or perception of reality could feel so incomprehensible that people may react with instinctive fear, no matter how peaceful the aliens actually are. Imagine trying to explain human civilization to an octopus that suddenly became intelligent overnight. Now imagine a gap far larger than that. An alien species may not think individually. It may exist as a hive consciousness distributed across networks or environments. It might perceive time differently, communicate through mathematics or electromagnetic fields, or experience emotions humans cannot even conceptualize biologically. And humanity would have to confront something even worse: the realization that human intelligence may not be special at all. Religions, philosophies, politics, and entire worldviews could destabilize overnight. Governments might panic. Economies could collapse under existential uncertainty. Millions of people may simply break psychologically trying to comprehend that Earth is not the center of meaningful life anymore. The horrifying part is that aliens would not even need to attack humanity. Their mere existence could permanently shatter humanity's understanding of reality, identity, and its place in the universe. Story 19. A jungle is supposed to be loud. In nature, constant noise usually means life is everywhere. Insects, animals, movement, communication, competition. And when a jungle suddenly goes completely silent, it usually means something dangerous is nearby. That is what makes the silence of the universe so disturbing. Humanity has been broadcasting radio signals into space for over a century. Television transmissions, military radar, satellite communications, and countless other signals have been expanding outward from Earth like a growing bubble of noise traveling at the speed of light. Every year that bubble reaches farther into the galaxy, and yet nothing answers, just silence. That silence becomes terrifying once you consider the possibility that intelligent civilizations may intentionally avoid broadcasting their existence. In a dangerous universe, revealing your location might be suicidal. Any civilization advanced enough to detect your signals could also eventually possess the power to destroy you. So the safest strategy may be to remain completely quiet. Humanity, meanwhile, is effectively screaming into the dark. Every transmission leaking from Earth advertises our existence, our location, and evidence of a technological civilization to anything capable of listening. Humans assume communication is inherently good because people evolved socially, but the galaxy may operate under very different rules. The horrifying implication is that the silence is not emptiness. It is a caution. Civilizations may already know the universe contains predators, expansionist empires, self-replicating probes, or hostile intelligences that eliminate anything detectable. Every species that survived long enough learned the same lesson: stay quiet. And if that is true, humanity may be behaving like the only animal in a silent jungle, still making noise because it has not yet realized why everything else stopped. Story 20. If an alien civilization is advanced enough to locate Earth, cross interstellar distances, and reach humanity without being detected, then the technological gap between them and humans may be so enormous that humans stop looking like equals entirely. People often assume intelligence naturally creates empathy, wisdom, or morality. But human history does not really support that idea. Humans already justify controlling, breeding, experimenting on, and slaughtering less intelligent species because people believe superior intelligence gives them authority over weaker life forms. Cattle are intelligent enough to feel fear, attachment, and pain. Humans know this perfectly well, and yet, billions are still raised industrially for food because humanity views them as lower on the hierarchy of importance. Now imagine a civilization viewing humanity the same way. To aliens, thousands or millions of years more advanced, humans might seem primitive, irrational, violent, and biologically inefficient. Human civilization may appear less impressive to them than animal societies appear to humans. Our greatest scientific achievements could look embarrassingly basic compared to technology capable of manipulating stars, crossing galaxies, or engineering life itself. And that creates a horrifying imbalance. Humans may desperately try to communicate, negotiate, or appeal morally to beings who simply do not perceive humans as significant enough for equal consideration. Entire populations could be relocated, experimented on, harvested, or exterminated for practical reasons, the same way humans clear forests or manage livestock populations. The worst part is that the aliens may not even consider themselves cruel. Humans rarely think of eating cattle as monstrous because people believe human needs matter more than animal suffering. Aliens may apply the exact same logic to humanity. That possibility is deeply disturbing because it destroys the comforting assumption that intelligence automatically leads toward compassion. A civilization far beyond humanity, technologically, may also be far beyond humanity emotionally, morally, and psychologically, in ways that make humans terrifyingly vulnerable. Story 21. Humans are instinctively disturbed by things that move and behave in ways the brain did not evolve to process comfortably. Bugs trigger fear in many people, not because they are especially dangerous, but because they look fundamentally wrong to human instincts. Too many legs, too many eyes, unnatural movement, sudden speed, bodies built around completely different anatomy than mammals. And insects still share the same evolutionary origin as humans. Every living thing on Earth is connected through billions of years of shared ancestry. Even the strangest deep-sea creatures still operate using familiar biological rules. DNA, cells, proteins, bilateral symmetry, recognizable survival behaviors. Alien life would not necessarily share any of that. That is what makes the idea terrifying. Humans tend to imagine extraterrestrials as humanoids because the brain keeps trying to map intelligence onto familiar patterns. But real alien organisms may evolve under entirely different gravity, chemistry, atmospheres, senses, and evolutionary pressures. Their movement alone could feel horrifying to witness. Imagine something intelligent moving without recognizable anatomy, perceiving reality through senses humans cannot comprehend, communicating in ways that bypass language entirely. It might not have a face, eyes, or even a centralized body structure. Human instincts evolved to recognize living creatures on Earth. Something truly alien may trigger fear simply because the brain cannot categorize it correctly. And if the intelligence is advanced, the psychological effect could become even worse. Humans may look at aliens and instantly realize they are encountering something completely disconnected from Earth's tree of life, a second genesis of biology from somewhere else in the universe. That realization alone could feel deeply unsettling. Of course, the first alien life humanity discovers will probably be microscopic organisms hidden beneath ice or oceans on distant worlds. But if intelligent alien life does exist somewhere, there is a real possibility that humans are emotionally and psychologically unprepared for how profoundly unnatural it may actually appear. Story 22. A deeply unsettling possibility is that aliens are not extraterrestrials at all, but descendants of humanity from the far future. Modern physics already shows that time is not fixed the way humans instinctively experience it. According to the theory of relativity, time flows differently depending on gravity and velocity. Astronauts moving at extreme speeds literally experience tiny amounts of time dilation compared to people on Earth. The faster something travels, the stranger time itself becomes. Now imagine a civilization thousands or millions of years more advanced than humanity. If future humans eventually mastered relativistic travel, gravitational manipulation, or technologies humanity cannot currently imagine, they may potentially move through time in ways that appear impossible to modern civilization. To people living today, those future beings would seem indistinguishable from aliens. And the disturbing part is how much this idea explains psychologically. Many descriptions of extraterrestrials already resemble distorted versions of humans. Upright posture, bilateral symmetry, hands, eyes facing forward, recognizable body structure. Some theories suggest future humans evolving under artificial environments, genetic engineering, long-term space habitation, or heavy technological integration could eventually become physically unrecognizable compared to modern humans. That possibility becomes terrifying once you ask why they would return. Maybe they are studying their ancestors scientifically. Maybe they are observing historical events. Maybe humanity's future survives some catastrophe, and the visitors are examining the point where civilization changed forever. Or worse, maybe they are not visitors at all. Maybe they have always been here, quietly manipulating history to ensure their own future existence. The truly horrifying implication is that humanity may someday evolve into something so biologically and psychologically different that modern humans would no longer recognize them as human beings at all. And if they looked back at us across time, they might not feel any stronger connection to humanity than humans feel toward ancient, primitive ancestors buried deep in evolutionary history. Story 23. A horrifying possibility is that the universe is silent because intelligent civilizations already learned the same lesson humanity has not discovered yet. Being noticed is deadly. Under this idea, somewhere in the galaxy exists a super predator civilization or autonomous system that destroys any species becoming technologically advanced enough to threaten it. Civilizations that survive long-term learn to remain completely hidden, avoiding broadcasts, expansion, or detectable activity. Humanity, meanwhile, is doing the exact opposite. For over a century, Earth has been leaking radio signals, military radar, satellite transmissions, and technological noise into space. Humans keep searching for extraterrestrials under the assumption that contact would probably be beneficial or at least peaceful. But if the universe contains something predatory, humanity may essentially be shouting its location into the dark. And the terrifying part is that the predator would not necessarily need to hate us. Predators eliminate threats automatically. Humans exterminate invasive species, sterilize bacteria, and destroy dangerous organisms preemptively because waiting can become catastrophic later. A sufficiently advanced alien intelligence may operate under the same logic on a galactic scale. Any emerging civilization capable of exponential technological growth could eventually become dangerous. The safest strategy would therefore be to destroy species early before they become impossible to control. That possibility transforms the silence of space into something deeply sinister. Maybe civilizations are everywhere. Maybe the reason nobody broadcasts openly is because the ones that did are already gone. And if humanity is one of the only civilizations loudly advertising its existence, the implications become horrifying. Somewhere across interstellar distances, ancient automated probes or hunter civilizations may already be detecting Earth's signals and calculating trajectories. The nightmare scenario is that first contact does not happen because humanity successfully finds aliens. It happens because something finally notices humanity has been making noise. Story 24. If alien life exists, humans may be massively underestimating how disturbing it could actually appear, because every alien humans imagine is still heavily based on Earth biology and human psychology. Most fictional extraterrestrials are basically modified humans: 2 arms, 2 legs, recognizable faces, emotions, and social behavior people can still understand. Even monstrous movie aliens usually follow familiar animal patterns because the human brain keeps trying to force the unknown into categories it already recognizes. Real extraterrestrial life may not resemble anything Earth evolved humans to process comfortably. Every creature on Earth shares a common ancestor, meaning even the strangest organisms still operate under familiar biological rules. Humans can usually recognize EC, limbs, mouths, movement, symmetry, or survival behavior because all life here emerged from the same evolutionary tree. Alien life would not necessarily share any of that. A truly extraterrestrial species may evolve under entirely different gravity, atmosphere, chemistry, and environmental pressures. Their anatomy could feel horrifying simply because human instincts have absolutely no framework for understanding it. Imagine intelligent organisms moving in ways that trigger every danger response in the human brain simultaneously. Bodies with impossible symmetry, communication through vibrations, chemicals, or electromagnetic pulses instead of language. Organisms functioning collectively rather than individually. Creatures that perceive dimensions, radiation, or senses humans cannot even experience biologically. And the terrifying part is that humans may instinctively fear them no matter how peaceful they actually are. People already fear harmless spiders and insects simply because they move differently enough to trigger ancient survival instincts. Now imagine encountering something completely disconnected from Earth's entire evolutionary history. The psychological shock alone could be devastating. The nightmare scenario is not necessarily hostile aliens. It is humanity realizing the universe contains forms of life so alien, unnatural, and biologically incomprehensible that the human mind itself struggles to even process what it is looking at without fear. Story 25. A terrifying possibility is that an alien civilization, advanced enough to travel between stars, may possess weapons so far beyond human technology that humanity would not even recognize them as weapons until it was too late. Humans already miniaturize technology constantly. Entire computers that once filled buildings now fit inside pockets. Nuclear weapons became dramatically smaller and more efficient after their invention. Precision-guided systems replaced massive armies and artillery barrages with compact devices capable of catastrophic destruction. Now extend that technological progression thousands or millions of years further. An advanced alien civilization might compress energies humans barely understand into devices small enough to fit inside a probe, satellite, or ship no larger than an asteroid. A weapon with the destructive capability humans associate with science fiction superweapons could potentially exist in forms so compact and efficient that modern civilization would completely underestimate the threat. And the frightening part is that they may not even need dramatic explosions. A civilization manipulating gravity, antimatter, relativistic projectiles, artificial singularities, or stellar physics could destroy planets in ways humanity cannot currently defend against, or perhaps even comprehend. Entire ecosystems might vanish instantly from technologies operating according to physical principles humans have not discovered yet. That possibility changes the meaning of vulnerability entirely. Humanity tends to measure military power relative to other humans. But against a civilization vastly older technologically, Earth's defenses may resemble primitive tribes attempting to resist modern industrial militaries with sticks and stone tools. And if the technological gap became large enough, destruction itself might look effortless. No fleets, no prolonged war. Just a small object entering the solar system, carrying enough energy or advanced physics to erase civilization completely. The horrifying implication is that humanity assumes survival depends on intelligence, weapons, or preparation. But against sufficiently advanced extraterrestrial technology, humans may not even possess the scientific understanding necessary to recognize danger before civilization disappears entirely. Story 26. One of the darkest possibilities about alien contact is that humans already know exactly how it could go badly, because history has shown repeatedly how intelligent beings treat those they perceive as different, weaker, or less worthy. Humans like to imagine first contact as a peaceful scientific milestone where two civilizations meet with mutual curiosity and respect. But human history tells a far more disturbing story. Entire populations have been enslaved, exterminated, colonized, or exploited simply because another group viewed them as inferior, primitive, dangerous, or insufficiently human, and those were still members of the same species. Humans share nearly identical biology, emotions, intelligence, and consciousness with one another. Yet societies throughout history still found ways to justify cruelty through ideology, fear, tribalism, economics, or perceived superiority. That becomes terrifying when applied to extraterrestrial life. If humans can dehumanize other humans over differences as small as culture, language, religion, or appearance, then an alien civilization may find it even easier to dismiss humanity entirely. To them, humans could appear primitive, irrational, violent, biologically inefficient, or morally insignificant. And the reverse is equally frightening. Humanity itself may eventually encounter less advanced alien species and rationalize exploitation using the same patterns repeated throughout human history. Colonization, experimentation, forced labor, displacement, or extermination could all be justified as necessary for progress, security, or expansion. The horrifying realization is that intelligence does not automatically produce compassion. Humans already possess the psychological mechanisms required to mistreat beings perceived as other. An advanced alien civilization may operate under those same instincts on a far larger scale. That possibility feels deeply unsettling because it suggests the greatest danger surrounding alien contact may not come from exotic technology or incomprehensible biology. It may come from the simple, familiar tendency of intelligent beings to place themselves at the center of moral importance, while treating everyone else as expendable. Story 27. What unsettles many scientists is that humanity's entire definition of life is based on exactly one example: Earth. Every organism humans have ever studied comes from the same evolutionary tree and shares the same underlying chemistry. Life on Earth depends heavily on water, carbon-based molecules, energy sources, and environmental conditions compatible with Earth's biology. So naturally, humans search for alien life using those same assumptions, but the universe may not care about human assumptions at all. There could be forms of life that function using completely different chemistry, environments, or physical processes humans have never imagined. Some scientists have speculated about organisms based on silicon instead of carbon, life evolving in liquid methane oceans like those on Titan, or entities existing inside plasma fields, stars, or deep planetary interiors. And the terrifying part is that humans might not even recognize such things as alive. Human beings identify life through familiar patterns: movement, reproduction, metabolism, cells, DNA, respiration, growth. But alien systems could operate according to rules so unfamiliar that humans mistake them for weather, geology, radiation, or random chemistry. Imagine discovering a planetary phenomenon humans assume is non-living, only to realize centuries later it was actually an intelligent ecosystem communicating on timescales too slow or too fast for humans to notice. Or worse, imagine humans already encountering alien life somewhere in the universe without recognizing it because it fails to resemble anything Earth biology prepared us to detect. That possibility is deeply disturbing because it means humanity may be profoundly limited by its own evolutionary perspective. Humans assume the universe should produce life resembling what evolved here, simply because Earth is the only example people know. But life elsewhere may be so fundamentally alien that human minds were never naturally equipped to identify it correctly in the first place. Story 28. Humans constantly imagine aliens using pieces of Earth life because the human brain literally has no other reference point. People describe extraterrestrials as reptilian, insectoid, humanoid, feline, fungal, or machine-like, because every category humans use to understand life comes from Earth's evolutionary history. But truly alien life may completely break every category humanity has ever created. Every organism humans know shares the same origin: mammals, insects, fungi, plants, fish, bacteria. All of them are distant relatives connected through billions of years of evolution on one planet. Even the strangest deep-sea organisms still use familiar biological systems like DNA, cells, proteins, metabolism, and recognizable evolutionary structures. Alien life would not necessarily share any of that, and that is what makes the idea terrifying. A truly extraterrestrial organism may not resemble an animal at all. It may not have organs, limbs, cells, symmetry, or even a fixed body. Humans may struggle to determine whether it is an organism, an ecosystem, a machine, or some entirely different category beyond current biology. Imagine encountering something intelligent that behaves more like a weather system than a creature, or an entity distributed across an environment instead of existing inside a body, or a form of life where individuality itself does not exist because consciousness emerges collectively through networks humans cannot perceive properly. The horrifying part is that human language may completely fail to describe it. People instinctively assume aliens will still feel emotionally understandable at some level because humans unconsciously project Earth biology onto the universe. But real extraterrestrial life may be so disconnected from Earth's evolutionary framework that humans experience it less like meeting another species and more like confronting an entirely different mode of existence. And if something is alien enough, humans may not even psychologically process it as alive, despite standing directly in front of it. Story 29, a deeply disturbing possibility, is that aliens are not extraterrestrials at all, but humanity's own descendants returning from an unimaginably distant future. As the sun ages, Earth will eventually become increasingly hostile to life. Long before the sun dies completely, rising temperatures and environmental collapse could force surviving humans underground, underwater, into artificial habitats or off-world entirely. Over millions of years, evolution, genetic engineering, and adaptation could radically transform what humans look like. Large eyes adapted for darkness, pale or gray skin from living without sunlight, thin bodies shaped by artificial gravity or enclosed environments, humanoid but wrong somehow. And that is what makes the theory so unsettling. Many descriptions of classic aliens already resemble distorted versions of humanity rather than completely separate life forms. Instead of visitors from another planet, they could theoretically be descendants of modern humans shaped by extreme future conditions and technologies humans cannot currently comprehend. But the truly horrifying part is why they might return. Not for conquest, not for diplomacy, for research. Future humans may look backward through time, the same way modern scientists study ancient civilizations or extinct species. They could be observing the era where humanity made irreversible mistakes: climate collapse, nuclear war, artificial intelligence disasters, genetic manipulation, or whatever transforms civilization into something unrecognizable. And humanity itself may already be the experiment. The terrifying implication is that every sighting, encounter, or unexplained observation could theoretically be descendants quietly analyzing the exact moment history went wrong for their species. That transforms alien contact into something much darker, emotionally. Because instead of discovering humanity is not alone in the universe, humans would discover something even worse. The future may already exist, and whatever humanity eventually becomes no longer sees modern humans as equals, only as primitive ancestors being studied across time, like artifacts from a doomed civilization. Story 30, one of the most realistic horrors surrounding alien contact, is that extraterrestrials may not need weapons, hostility, or invasion fleets to devastate humanity. Their mere existence could be biologically catastrophic. Human history already provides terrifying examples of this. When isolated human populations encountered outsiders carrying unfamiliar diseases, the consequences were often catastrophic because those populations had no evolved immunity to the new pathogens. Entire communities were devastated simply through accidental exposure, and those were still diseases originating from Earth. Now imagine contact with life that evolved completely independently somewhere else in the universe. Human immune systems evolved specifically to handle Earth biology. Every virus, bacterium, fungus, and parasite humans understand shares the same biochemical ancestry, stretching back billions of years. Alien microorganisms may operate according to completely unfamiliar biological rules. That uncertainty is what makes the idea so disturbing. A harmless microorganism carried unintentionally by extraterrestrial visitors could theoretically interact with Earth biology in unpredictable ways. Humanity may struggle even to recognize the infection properly before it spreads globally. As modern pandemics already demonstrated, civilization is extremely vulnerable to novel biological threats, even when scientists understand the underlying chemistry involved. Now imagine trying to identify and stop something truly extraterrestrial. Medical systems might fail simply because human biology has never encountered anything remotely similar before. Existing treatments, antibiotics, antivirals, or vaccines could become useless against organisms following entirely different biological mechanisms. And the terrifying part is that the aliens may have peaceful intentions. They may arrive curious, friendly, or scientific, completely unaware they are carrying microscopic contamination capable of destabilizing Earth's biosphere. That possibility transforms first contact into something deeply tragic. Humanity may survive war against another civilization, but it could potentially be wiped out accidentally because two completely separate evolutionary histories touched each other for the first time in the universe.